Hello, everybody. It's 8:25 p.m. Central Time on the 30th of March, 2023. It's Thursday night here in the United States, formerly United States. Long story if you haven't heard. Anyway, we're here to talk about seismic events, and I'm here to do this for everybody. I don't care what your political persuasion is, or even what your religious persuasion is, or even whether or not you're human or not. Let's go ahead and turn on display capture and just get into what's happened. Now, it's been 7 days since I recorded my last update, and we had a 7 to 10 day watch. So today is day 7. We still have 3 more days to go in the watch over here in Europe and for a few other locations. However, we have seen 2 of the spots get hit with about a magnitude less than what we were looking for. So, for instance, Japan got hit 350 miles north of where we were looking, maybe 400 at the most. 6.0 earthquake, North Island or South Island, right in between the two, between north part of Japan and Hokkaido. And then on the opposite side of the plate, right in the warned area at the Travels Underneath arrow, a mid-range 6 struck, 6.3 to 6.5. And we were looking for up to 7 here, and we were looking for up to 7 here. And again, we're within the magnitude, and we're in the countries we were talking about, and even in the regions that we were talking about, specifically down in Chile. I mean, we're spot on in the spot in Chile. It's been many, many weeks, if not a few months, since they've been hit with anything big down here at all in Chile or up in Japan, where it's felt and reported on land. So let's recap. Japan and Chile have both been hit. They've both been hit by about a half magnitude to 0.9 under what we were looking for, which is good. That's good. That's good to see the areas that we were looking for to get hit and hit by just a little bit less than what we're looking for. That means there's still some trapped energy, but it's 1 magnitude's worth of trapped energy, which means we're going to be getting another 6, basically, in each spot. If any more energy is pumped in, then that will take things up. If we get any more new deep earthquakes, for instance, like what we see here, if we see a bunch of these start to pop off at our letter Ds, right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of them. If we see a lot, several, there's no real specific number to put on a lot. I'll just say over 10 in a few days' time, we start seeing a bunch of new deep earthquakes. Then we look for the magnitudes to certainly go up from where we are now. I'd say we're going to stay the same where we are now. However, there was an X-class flare that just happened, Earth-facing, and then that big coronal hole on the sun sending strong solar winds towards Earth to begin with. In the 500 kilometer per second range, mainstream media doing the fear-mongering thing, calling it 1.8 million kilometers per second or something. I don't know. 1.8 million miles per hour is what they said. Instead of doing kilometers per second like we do solar wind with, they did the million mile per hour thing, guys. Again, 1.8 million miles per hour. Ah! Oh, you mean 500 kilometers per second? You mean it went up by 100? It went up by 100 kilometers per second. It went from, it's normally at 300 or so. You might see the solar wind, 200, 300, 400. It gets up into 5, 6, 7. We start that strong solar wind coming from the sun. Now, on its own, strong solar wind is something we look for there to be an earthquake effect on. When the Earth's magnetosphere starts getting buffeted around like a sail on a ship in the wind, blowing. But in this case, there's charged particles coming from the X-class flare. And that takes a few days, as well as the solar wind, to actually get to Earth. So it takes 2 to 3 days for that to arrive. The X-class flare just happened yesterday. So we watch for new deep earthquake activity where our letter Ds are. So, letter D, south coast of Japan. 2 letter Ds, Indonesia, Philippines. 1 letter D at Fiji. 1 letter D over here at the Mideast. And 1 letter D over here at South America, Chile, Argentina, Bolivia border. Oh, and 1 in Kamchatka as well. That's our Ds all the way around the planet. We watch for new deep earthquakes to pop at those letter Ds when the solar flares and charged particles and strong solar wind intersect Earth's magnetosphere. So a solar flare on its own might not send anything towards Earth, but if there's charged particles emitted, and it's coupled with strong solar wind, think of it like a hurricane. So you normally have strong wind, and if you couple strong wind with rain in it, it becomes extremely strong. Like the force behind the wind is strong in its own right, and then if it's carrying rain in it, it's even stronger. Same with the charged particles. Now let's go over out of Asia, where we have a stepping stone path of 5.0 range earthquakes. Nothing's changed here. Our 5s go from Indonesia up to our 6 up in Japan. And by the way, this came in at a 6.1. That matters because of the other 6.1 that I haven't talked about yet. Down here at Solomon Islands going to Vanuatu. 6.1 struck here first. Then this 6.1 struck up here. Then they downgraded to a 6, so they weren't two of the exact same sized earthquakes on the same day. But that's really what happened. So really, it's 3 sets of 6s in the last 3 days, and a stepping stone path of 5s connecting in between them. So we have 5.1 and 5.3 on one side, and 4.8 and 4.8 on the other. These were all 5s to begin with. So the two 4.8s were 5s. They downgraded them to 4.8. But I would like to just open up a USGS plate boundary map to show you what just moved over here by Japan, all on a 5.0 basis. USGS plate boundary map shows it very well, the plate boundary edges. 2 sides they have marked from today, the 5s that they have from today. The other side that they turned to 4.8 from yesterday. So on both sides of the diamond-shaped plate boundary here, and I've said this for the last 8 years, 9 years, we tend to see about the same sized earthquakes on both sides of the plate as this wave is spreading up out of here, branching in 2 directions or breaking in 2 directions, out, and then coming back together up here. And that's exactly what happened. 5s on one side, 5s on the other, 6 up at the pinnacle tip up to the north, 6 at the pinnacle tip down to the south. Let's go back to the pinnacle tip to the south, show you what I'm talking about, pinnacle tip, because it's over to the east. You go down and over to the east, get a 6 over here and a 6 up here, and you're connected by 5s in between on both sides. Okay, that's what's happened. This is the last 2 days' worth of earthquakes. Going over to the west, we have a stepping stone path of the same size quakes as well. 4.5, 4.6, somewhere in that range. Going across, out of the plate boundary, up into Siberia, following where our arrows somewhat point. And let me show you that here. Going up and around Myanmar and coming across Russia. So coming across Russia is not coming from Myanmar. It's not like Myanmar is somehow pushing Siberia and we're getting a 4.6, somehow causing a 4.4. And actually the 4.4 struck first, so there's no way they were causing each other. It's 2 of the same size quakes coming from 2 different areas. Up here to the north, coming across and out this way. 4.4, where do we go back to? Look, 4.3 to 4.4 up here, and a 4.5. Coming out of Myanmar, we go down to the south, we have to go back 2 days. 4.5 to 4.6 coming out of the plate boundary out to the south. Plate boundary to the south, plate boundary to the north, 4.5 to 4.6 up here, 4.5 to 4.6 down here, then it spreads. And we get the same size quakes spreading out across the plate as the wave is spreading. Now, you shouldn't be too shocked to see that the combined total of this and this is 4.7. 4.74 if you really want to be specific. 4.6 plus another 4.4 takes it up by another point. Takes it to a 4.74. Anyway, 4.3 plus 4.2 plus 4.4 plus 4.1 equals 4.74. The way we add the magnitudes. Every 4 we add on, it just takes it up by another point. Add on another 4, it'll take it to 4.74. It'll take it to 4.84. Add on another 4, it'll take it to 4.94. Add on another 4, it'll take it up to 5. Every 4 we add on adds another point on the end. That's the way we add the magnitudes. Anyway, you add this up, equals 4.7. Back over here, 4.7. And what's coming out of the West Pacific, 4.7. It's the same size wave going across half the planet at this point on a 4.7 basis. That's a lot of energy. While it seems small, a bunch of 4.6s and 4.7s, this used to get ignored by the professionals. Oh, it's just 4.6. They don't even report. And it's really a spread going across. How much area is that? From Alaska down to Indonesia and back to Siberia and over to the Mideast. How much energy do you think it would take to displace the whole planet like that in a day on a 4.6 basis? Take a lot more energy than a 4.6 is worth of energy to displace a whole region like that. And where's it coming from? Down below, where the deep earthquakes are going to start coming up in the next few days as a result of our new buffeting solar storm, which professionals said there was no relation between solar storms and earthquakes, but they're a bunch of fools at this point, so we don't listen to them, I can't. It wouldn't be in good conscience if I listened to all the people who said that this and that can't happen and shit. Sorry. Pardon my language, kids, but you just got to hear it for real. Like, all the denial about everything. It wouldn't be good science to listen to the deniers. They don't back it up. They say there's no relation between the sun and earthquakes. And then you're like, what? You're like, well, what about all the earthquakes that hit after the solar flares? And they say, oh, that's just chance. Earthquakes hit all the time. That's a real sciencey explanation. Oh, man. Anyway, let's go over across the Mideast. Same-sized earthquakes coming out of Afghanistan. Going over to the west, and guess what we got over in Turkey? Well, here, take a look. I'm not going to make you guess. Look at that. 4.6 to 4.7. Let's go across over to Crete. 4.5 to 4.6. A hair less. Let's go up across into Italy, and we got a 4.7. This is all in the last 2 days. Now, I need to talk about Italy because we had warned Campobasso, and we're at Montagano, Italy. I just want to see how far we are from Campobasso. Oh, what? We are 3 miles outside of Campobasso, the big town, and the province. I'm probably butchering the way that's pronounced. Now, we warned you for up to 5.0, and you got a 4.7 to 4.9. 3 miles off now. Now, the reason I warned Italy, let's go back and show you the plate boundary map. This will make sense in a few minutes or a few seconds. We warned down here in South Italy due to the fact that we also have a warning going for 2 more days down here at Greece. Said both areas are going to move. One would be on the 5.0 level. The other should be in the upper 6 to low 7 level. So far, the upper 6 to low 7 hasn't hit. Instead, just the 5 hit right at Campobasso 3 miles outside. It's been many, many months, if not a year or 2, since they've been hit directly. And that's where the plate boundary goes through, see? See there, right there. Let me go ahead and turn on our street level map. There it is. Okay, so the street level will show you the town names. So here's Campobasso. There's Foggia or Foggia. That's Foggia. Foggia, that's where old people live. Okay. English, Foggy. I'm not being ageist. I myself am an old fogey. Being 47. Hey, 47 years old when we're talking about 44.7s. The irony does not escape me. Let's go up into Austria. Let's go see what's going on up here. Up in Austria. Didn't I issue a warning for Croatia? I need to go see. I need to go check and see how close we are. How close is Austria to Croatia? 150 miles at the most. I warned right here, and we warned for upper 4 to low 5 to strike at Croatia as well. And it's a low end 4. I will have to go check and just see really quick. Does the USGS even have this on their feed? Hold on. EMSC has a 4.1. I guess that would be then the USGS has it at 4.0. I just want to check the stations and see what they show. Go to the technical details information and go to the body magnitudes and just see. Oh, well, okay, first of all, 2 stations? 2. Dude, okay. What do you guys think about me starting my own seismic network? Doing a huge fundraiser for like $1 billion. Not for myself. It would go to some kind of trust or something that, we'll seek financing from Musk or something. And we start our own global network and just get a bunch of private people and private companies and private schools to install seismometers in their basements, basically. And get Musk to provide Starlink or something, so we can just have it always connected 24/7 and do it in every country around the world who wants to take part, even the countries that we normally consider, not friendly. Like, we could partner up, people in Iran, they still want to know, right? Like, everybody wants to know. It's just nobody wants to go to any particular government agency to get the info. Maybe I should start the first non-shill, non-government funded private seismic network that's publicly out there for free, like it's government. Screw it, dude. Seriously, man. What do you think? Press 1 if you think I should do it. So, where's Mr. Beast when you need him, They're all too busy goofing around, making t-shirts and freaking starting sports bars. Going to Mars and freaking whatever, man. Buying social media sites. Screw seismic. Anyway, let's go over and talk about the spread one more time. Your teacher's done ranting. Let's get back to what's going on. A spread of the same-sized earthquakes going out from the West Pacific all the way out over to Europe and beyond to Central Europe. We take a slight step down, and that's debatable, in Central Europe. We go down from 4.6 to 4.1 or 4.0. We lose a half magnitude once we go into the plate directly. And when we look at the plate, let's turn this back on. When we go up into the plate here, out of the plate boundary, it stands to reason the wave is going to take a little bit of a step down, magnitude-wise, as it's absorbed by the plate. But the wave's going to go around the plate. It's not just going to be absorbed by the plate, just poof, go away. It goes around the plate. So, we should see a new series of earthquakes in the 4.0 range break out from Scotland north, all the way to Iceland. Okay. And, one other thing. We should also see new 4.0 level activity over here at Morocco going into Gibraltar. Coming across the plate boundary at Tunisia, or Algeria, which is that? Hold on. Well, okay, Tunisia-Algeria border region. Right here, just a 3.5. Again, professionals would just totally ignore it. It's just a small earthquake. But it's a wave coming across. It's going to get over to here, and we're going to break with the same-sized earthquakes that are breaking across Central and South Europe. 4.something? 4.7? It might not matter to you guys that a 4.7 would hit, but for the people who it knocks things off shelves or breaks things in their houses, this is an area where it's very shallow bedrock. You've heard of Straits of Gibraltar, the Rock of Gibraltar. Well, the Rock of Gibraltar is just part of the Greater Plate Boundary there, and that's on the side of the giant man-made star fort that's there, hundreds of miles long, to top it all off. Okay. West Pacific. Azay! Guys, you started to move finally down at Perth. We were looking for this for the last several days since you saw your activity near 5.0 level down here next to Kangaroo Island. We issued the warning. It took a week longer than I expected. But it hit, and it hit with the rare quake. It's not there again. It's over 7 days old. 4.7 to 5.0 earthquake struck down here at Kangaroo Island. This is Kangaroo Island right here. Here's Adelaide. And we had issued a warning from Kangaroo Island, Adelaide, down to Melbourne, which is, Melbourne's right down here, for a rare 5.0 quake to hit. Then a 4.9 hit. They downgraded it to 4.7. 777. I need to get the echo on my voice. 777. That's Sean Connery echoing, okay? They took it down to a 4.7. It's the same size that went around the rest of the planet at this point. Now, I would expect a similar sized earthquake to eventually break out down here in the next few days down by Perth. We already have a 2, but I'm thinking something more like a 4 is due on the west-southwest side of Australia. Now, the last several times when I issued a warning for Perth, Exmouth got hit up here by the VLF antenna array. They have a giant VLF antenna array run by the Navy up there. Nothing go wrong there. Nothing go wrong there. No. Now let's go across over into South America and just talk about this. See where our big arrow points. The reason we had a warning going here is because previously we had been hit at the center and the north with the same sized earthquakes. Going back to last week, I don't even know if they're still on here. They're not. There was a 6.3 earthquake up here, right at the Colombia-Peru border region. Then there was a 6.3 at the center of the plate, here, right at the Bolivia-Argentina-Chile border region. And I had said the only spot left to go was down to the south at the Travels Underneath Point, and it should be about the same size. And so today, when a is that a 6.3? Hold on. I just got to check. Hold on. Did they change the magnitude on it? No, okay, it's still 6.3. So the only thing missing now is a final 6-point-something, 6.3, striking down here at the tip of our letter X. Let me show you why. We're going to look for that. We moved up here to the north at the Colombia-Ecuador border region, 6.3. We moved at the center, 6.3. We moved at the south, 6.3. Cocos Plate is on the west side. South American Plate's on the east side. The flow is going to go down and around underneath and break down here, where Antarctica meets with the South Atlantic. The wave will go around, and we should see a new similar-sized quake break at the tip, at the X. Then go through the planet, or around the planet, I don't know which, it's debatable, and come back out at our antipode, the opposite side of the planet, with new deep earthquakes. And that fulfills the forecast, that will fulfill the forecast when you add in the solar and everything else going on, with the sun coming in, exciting the core of the Earth. The core of the Earth is a plasma core. It's like a plasma globe you would touch your hands to at the Science Museum, or that you can buy and plug into your computer. Like a gaseous globe filled with neon gas that you touch, and the plasma comes out and touches your finger. Like that inside of the core of the Earth, but lightning level or greater, and God knows how hot, and it's powered by the sun. You wouldn't want to touch it. But we know electricity is coming up out of the core of the Earth and going up through the plate and up out into the sky. Most lightning comes out of the ground and goes up into the sky. There's cloud-to-cloud lightning and cloud-to-ground lightning sometimes, but most lightning comes up out of the ground and shoots up into the sky because there's a differential between the electricity in the ground, coming up from the core, and the scuffing of the particles in the atmosphere, creating their own charge, like scuffing your feet across the carpet and picking up a charge. Let's talk about the United States. Alaska, Hawaii, lower 48. So up in Alaska, same-sized activity. I already talked about it, 4.6, 4.7, going out and across. Once we get over into the Aleutians, we take a step down slightly to 4.5, 4.3 to 4.5. This was originally 4.5. They downgraded it to 4.3. But then, you see over to the east, I have to take it down by 2 magnitudes for us to even see what's going on. So the power here in Alaska right now is low in comparison to the rest of the planet. The flow is clearly going up to Japan at this point, but it's trying to go and equalize out across over to the west like normal, going over towards Europe. Only when a big push comes in from down below do we see it go up into Alaska and across over into Anchorage, then down into the United States. I think that's going to happen this week. I think we're looking at 6.0 level plus activity up in Alaska this week. And we can find our spots to watch by looking at the spots that are currently somewhat quiet. No 4.0 level activity in Alaska, but let's go down to 3s. Check it out. Now it's like a giant target. Look where all the rings overlap. They all overlap here just south of Anchorage. Again, it's where every point overlaps on all these previous. Think of these like a bunch of rocks being thrown in a pond, and all the waves are overlapping and intersecting right here. Look what's there. It's the bend of the plate. Gee, I wonder why we're reflecting around in there right now. I wonder what's reflecting around in there right now. A wave. A wave is going over to the edge of the North American craton, bouncing around and back, and it's a standing wave forming here in the middle. In the middle, the combined total of the standing wave will form and break. That's where we'll get our new earthquake. And our new earthquake should be similar in size to what's striking around the rest of the planet at this point. And we're going into the 6 range. So let me issue the warning now for the area south of Anchorage, from Anchorage south all the way to the plate boundary out here, for 6.3 level activity to come rolling in. Next 5 to 7 days. Today's the 30th. Technically one more day in the month. That just put us basically until this coming Friday as where we watch for. But this is already reflecting around in there, so it's not like we have to wait too long. It's already taken place, the reflection. To see it, again, we're looking at 2 days worth of quake, so there's already the wave arriving there. Now, the wave is arriving there, and it's also arriving on the edge of the craton down in Yellowstone, fulfilling our forecast for Yellowstone to swarm this week. Yellowstone doesn't swarm every week. It It doesn't swarm every month. Sometimes it goes 6 months even without swarming. Just depends on when the wave is coming in from maybe 6 months is an exaggeration. It goes several months, sometimes 2 to 3 months, without any swarm activity. But then a new push will come in from the northwest. We'll see it excite up in Alaska. We'll see it excite up in Canada. And then it comes down into the park, into the edge of the craton. Let me turn on our borders and all that good stuff for people who don't know where the park is. So we have 2 separate outbreaks going on. One in Lake Yellowstone itself. That's the big stack. Now, do not confuse these with the hundreds, if not thousands, of tremors that happen daily at Yellowstone. Tremors are small vibrations that get picked up. They even assign magnitudes to them. But this is going up to 3.7. This is breaking in the plate up above the magma chamber. Doesn't mean it's going to erupt. It means that there's a wave going through the magma chamber causing an excitement. The wave is equal to about 4.0. Wouldn't you say a 3.7 is about a magnitude less than a 4.7? If we're dealing with 4.7s around the rest of the planet, and then all of a sudden a 3.7 rolls in at Yellowstone with a swarm, and it's on the edge of the craton, I will tell you, that is related to the edge of the craton. Now, I don't know if I've got my craton graphic on here. You guys know I got hacked again. They bombed my computer and put a freaking HTML file in my downloads folder. Some kind of weird named HTML file snooping around. I caught it. I was out of the office. I came in and said a file had been downloaded. Just magically up in the upper right-hand corner, I just happened to catch it. And that's with full virus and everything. Yeah. I'm on a new wiped computer now. Another one. Somebody's got a real problem with what I'm doing. I don't know. I mean, maybe the government or somebody hired somebody to do this, but I don't know, man. Why all the freak out over what I'm doing? You know, they called for my arrest, but I thought that was done. I thought we were done with that crap. So Yellowstone got hit. We have 3.7 level activity coming in on the plate. 4.7 is going around the rest of the plate right now. Let's look at the 1s and 0s and see. Do they connect in between? Yes, they do. Now, I'd like to look up a few of these spots and show you what is at each spot that's kind of stacked with earthquake activity. There are a few things worth mentioning at each one of these locations. Now, for instance, starting up here to the north, we can ignore the Quarry Blast just north of the border, but once we get into the Puget Sound down here, we're on the Seattle Fault going over to the east, connecting through Seattle downtown to where the Seattle Fault begins just east of Seattle. So on both sides. Over to the east, far east. I don't know what's exactly far over here. It just says 1.1 in Washington. It doesn't give us a town name. So in order to find that out, I guess I need to open up a copy of good old Google Earth. We're going to go take a look and see why they're not telling us the town name here. Normally, the USGS would give you a town name or an area to which triangulate from, not just say it's in a state. And sometimes there's weird things at the spots in question, so I don't want to cause any problems, but I do just want to see if there's anything here worth mentioning. Okay, we've got a set of power lines right here. I'm just wondering if this is anywhere close to our giant U.S. naval antenna array. Now, unfortunately, I don't have my place marks saved for the antenna array. I know it was over here somewhere, but I don't exactly know where. So that being said, let's just go in and see. Do we have anything poking out as odd? You've got... Let's see. Okay, the naval is all the way over here. Okay, that's good. All right, we're somewhat far, I think, from the U.S. Naval VLF antennas. However, whenever we get even close, we're on a set of high voltage power lines, and it also looks like we've got a tunnel here of some kind, a railroad tunnel. We got the railroad lines and the power lines side by side. Oh, man. Okay, look. This gets into something I don't even really want to talk about right now, which is the VLF electrical flow earthquake connection. So while I was just talking about the U.S. Navy spot, that's entirely different than
the VLF running through the power lines spot. But both have an earthquake effect. How? Mother Nature is putting electrical current through the plate that's very low frequency. We come in on the surface and have transmission lines that are running that. Crazy. There's a connection. Let's go down to Royal City, Washington, and go see what's here. I'm pulling the earthquake from in the middle of this cluster, and we'll just go from this electrical station out of here. I don't like having to blame earthquakes on electrical lines. There were people who denied that, actually. Look where we are. We're right across from the experimental reactors that they tore apart. They tore apart the experimental reactors, and now here we are. We're at Hanford Nuclear Waste Storage Facility. So this location is well known, in case you don't know about it. Old Manhattan Project. All these were the experimental reactors. Now right here is the LIGO Gravity Wave Sensing Station. Long lasers that go out and reflect back to themselves, and where the beams cross, they look for vibrations of the lasers. And that detects the gravity waves coming from across the universe. They have this thing pointed at a right angle at all the heaviest elements known to man. I guess that's just chance or something. That's in the middle. On the north side and on the south side, we spread out from there with the same size quakes. Now over here to the west, it looks like a jumbled mess, and it somewhat is. But I can pull the quakes from in the middle of each one of these clusters, and you'll see that there is something at each one of these spots to the west. So we're leaving now the nuclear facility. Gee, I wonder what, very low frequency again. Wow. Now we're going below Mount Rainier, the volcano. It doesn't mean it's going to erupt. This is the same reason it's moving. It's fair amount of earthquakes at Mount Rainier. It's the same reason that Yellowstone is moving. The wave is passing through the magma chamber. It's the same reason the nuke sites are moving. The wave is passing underneath the power lines, and where they've got all these heavy elements that are obviously causing some kind of very low frequency emission of electrical, maybe, I don't know, AC, electrical alternating current, coming out via radio waves, going out into the atmosphere, and then getting absorbed and converting to DC by Mother Nature. Efficiency scaling is what that's called. When AC, alternating current, radio waves, get absorbed by Mother Earth, magnetic field, they convert to DC, go down to ground. Did you know that? Electrical, like what powers your electrical components. Radio waves in the air turn straight up into DC when they get converted, big efficiency scaling, when they get absorbed by Mother Earth down into the ground. We're on the side of Marble Mountain Volcano. Let me read this description to you. This is great. Marble Mountain, an andesitic shield volcano southeast of Mount St. Helens and north of Swift Reservoir, was last active about 160,000 years ago. Guys, I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to drop a little truth bomb on you here. You can take it or leave it. The timescales that professionals came up with are all false and made up. They make them up willy-nilly. The time scale of Earth, the age of the Earth, the age of this and that, it's all fake. Straight up fake, made up, lies. Fanciful creations of guys with beards and chicks who followed in their footsteps. Telling you, man, scammers. Let's go down into, and that's why they did transference. They called me a scammer. Go figure, right? Let's go down. Hey, speaking of that, let's go down to government camp. Speaking of scamming shill liars, let's go down to the government camp and see what's going on down there. We're on the side of another stratovolcano. Don't worry, it doesn't mean it's going to erupt. None of these volcanoes are going to erupt right now. The wave that the government denied existed, the seismic wave, this very low frequency wave that all the government shill deniers denied, is passing through and underneath all these areas that I'm talking about. That's why they're getting hit by the same size freaking earthquakes that they denied are happening. They said were freaking random. Let's go down into South Org. Yes, dude. Yes. Okay. I just got I just went on to rant page. I'm on a rant page. It's like a rampage, but it's online. Let's go out of Oregon and go down here into Nevada and go see what's going on. Denio, Nevada. Do you guys know there's a bunch of uranium they're trying to get from the surface up here? We got surface earthquakes right at the 0.0 kilometer depth. I wonder what's going on there. I don't know if we're going to zoom in on a uranium mine, though. That might be like top secret. Oh, wait. Hey, look at that. What do you know? Wait. What? This got to be some kind of road or something. No? It's got to be some kind of power lines or something. No? It's got to be some kind of pipeline or something. No? Let's go down on the road. Do we have a street level view? Wait, hold on. Maybe it is a pipeline. Ooh. Uh-oh. Dude, it is a pipeline. We don't have a street level view, but you can see the pumping station right there. Wow, all right. I wonder what they're pumping. Let's go over. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Not water. Jeez. Wow. That's a pipeline and a half right there. Where does this go? It goes across state line. Goes across state line. Keeps going. You kidding me, man? Dude. What kind of mess is this? Look, it goes right along the California state line. Look at that. Look how they did it right along your state line. Dude, that's hilarious. If it breaks, it's gonna flow downhill into California. All right, okay. It's water. That's what it is. Don't worry, Dutch. It's just water. They're gonna pump water that far. They got reservoirs all over the place. Yeah, right. Water. Oh, maybe it is. There's no way you could know. It doesn't tell you. And there's no way you're going to know out there. No way. We'll have to go do some research. There's no way that's water. All right. Man, this has turned into a total shit show now. Okay, let's just start over, guys. Let me get my serious voice back on here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me put my serious voice on here. We have a wave coming in going down to Yellowstone. That's what's causing the earthquakes at the volcanoes. The wave is coming in from the northwest. We're looking for this to go up to 4.7 up in Alaska, and they're going up to 6 total, topping out up in Alaska. I'm not looking for it to go up to 4.7 in Alaska. I'm sorry. We're already at 4.7 up in Alaska. We're looking for that to go up to 6.3. Coming in from the northwest, we're going to see this go up as well. I'm going to issue a warning now for Idaho to be on watch. Central Idaho, 4.7 to 5.0 level. You're already moving at Yellowstone. You're already moving over to the west, over at the volcanoes. You're moving at the LIGO gravity wave sensing station and the nuke sites. You're moving along where the power lines are. There's a wave trapped in here right now between Yellowstone and Washington. In the middle is where it's going to break. And it's going to be the combined total of everything coming in. Next week, we may even go up to 6.0 level activity up in the northwest, up in Washington. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, Idaho. All right. Coming in from the northwest in a diagonal line coming out of Oregon, going down into Nevada, next to our pipelines up on the north side, and then down to the south, next to the uranium. But there are no uranium mines there. I'm just saying they're doing the uranium there. I just know about that from something else that happened. Northern California, 3.2 to 3.5. Right along where the plate boundary comes in off the Juan de Fuca. This is at Eureka. Let me show you the plate boundary there. It's the Juan de Fuca fracture zone. Comes in right there, 3.2. That's low. Low in comparison to the rest of the plate, moving on a 6.0 level. I'm hesitant to issue the warning now because it will be next week when this happens, but I think we're going to be seeing 6.0 level plus activity coming into the northwest part of California in the next in the next week, next several days. So really, I would wait for Alaska to go, and I would wait for the activity to come down into Idaho before I would issue this warning. But since I'm just taking so long between my updates. And I'm so sarcastic, and I'm so let down about the way the country's going right now. I really am let down, guys. Come on, man. I expect better out of all y'all. But anyway, Northern California 6.0 plus level activity is going to be coming rolling in here within the next 7 to 10 days. Same sized activity that's going around the rest of the planet. I don't know. You shouldn't be shocked by this. It's going to be coming in off the Juan de Fuca. You'll see it come in from Alaska if they report the quakes. That's a whole nother story. Let's go down along the coast. Let's go through the Bay Area. So Bay Area to the north, if a 6 hits this coming week, you'll feel it. You'll feel it across the Bay Area. If I'm wrong on location and it hits any further south, it'll hit down by Napa. Now right here, next to Napa, is a volcano you've drilled. You keep drilling. You keep drilling this place. The geysers. The geysers are along right here on the east side of the red line, the San Andreas Fault. Right over here. So you got your volcano, you've got your drill points, and you're getting swarmed activity there. But a new swarm has broken out, going even higher. This is down next to the Bay Area along the peninsula. Let's go and take a look and see where this is. Pacifica. San Bruno. I would like to go put the coordinates in and just go see what's there. This is a real-time lookup. I have not looked this up before. So we're going to go look up the location and see what's there. Might not be anything of any significance at all here. Or there may be something very significant. There's a water tower. There's the police department. Bet they felt it. What else do we have here? Valmar, Rockaway Beach. Anybody know of anything significant here that we would need to pay attention to when it comes to earthquake activity? What's this place? Ooh, the jail. Now that gets really weird because we had the earthquake below the jail here in Missouri, Jefferson City, not too long ago. People said it was just chance. Now we got another one. That's getting weird. Okay, and they build these jails and these schools and the track and field and all that good stuff alongside of where there are old forts. Did you guys know about this? Some group of some society or something, they come in and build all this crap on top of these old star forts we call bastion forts, but they're way bigger than bastion forts. All over the place. We're finding all over the world they're doing it. So I have to look now and just see, are there any here? I'm not going to waste your time now, but now that I know where to look, I think I might have to come in and check. Might have to come in and check. I'm not saying that there's anything there, but when I see a golf course, football fields, a state penitentiary, all built in a very, very close area, I would say that maybe the area in between has been sculpted in some way by ancient peoples. And that there's a reason the government's digging in these spots and building these things there. Just like over on the Cahokia Mounds over here in Missouri or anywhere else where the government comes in and digs it up and builds something on it. Let's go down across the San Andreas Fault where we have all the same sized earthquakes today. And I mean exactly 1.6, 1.6, 1.6, 1.6, 1.6, and nestled in the middle of all of them, a 1.7 and a 1.8. In other words, it's all the same sized earthquakes, spreading out across the whole San Andreas Fault, going down south of the valley. Where are we going down to? It's down here. Well, we go down into the LA Basin with another 1.6 to 1.7. That sure is a lot of 1.6 and 1.7 going on for one day's time. Now, over to the east is our most recent quake marked in white. That's at our oil pumping operations over in the valley. But what about down to the south? Is there anything down here to the south that we should be aware of? Los Alamos. Oh. Nothing there I could recall. I don't recall anything at Los Alamos. Do you guys? Anything? Well, first of all, we've got an oil pumping operation there, but That would be the least of our worries at Los Alamos. You guys know about Los Alamos. If you don't, I'm going to tell you about it. Los Alamos, big part of the nuclear thing going on. And right next to it is Vandenberg Air Force Base, where all around the base is where our pumping operations start. For oil and gas, supposedly. But Vandenberg's where we do all our space launches for the military. And Vandenberg is out at the tip of something. Vandenberg is out at the tip of something, which I've shown, and I'm not going to really tell you about, but I will show it on the screen, just so you can see a specific shape here on the screen. And out at the very tip of it is Vandenberg Air Force Base, where we do all our space launches from. All right, now, earthquakes at the tip of that, and earthquakes coming down the San Andreas. Wonder why? There's a wave going down the San Andreas. Right now it's small, equal to 1.6 to 1.7. It's going to reflect back into itself. When it reflects back into itself, we'll see our earthquake break back up here to the north, the 6. Now, by the end of this coming week as well, we should see a new near 5 strike back down here just south of the border or right at the border, San Diego, Mexico, California border region again. Now, we're already swarming at Salton Sea. Salton Sea's forecast for last week, I don't know if that panned out or not, did it? I really don't. I didn't check. I know we got hit, but I didn't check the real magnitude on it. What did it come out to, 4.9 or something? It was right down here, again, just south of the border. I kind of stopped paying attention after they start downgrading all this issue warnings for. No offense. Let's go over onto the New Madrid seismic zone. Let's talk about the Midwest and talk about last week's earthquake activity versus what we were looking for. So last week, I flopped on my New Madrid forecast magnitude. I had warned for up to 4.0. Instead, a rare 3 came rolling through next to the Indian Mound. I was over a magnitude off, but it hit next to the Indian Mound that I brought up. I brought up the dang Indian Mound. And then the Indian Mound got hit. But I'm a magnitude under, or more than a magnitude. I was like 1.5 or something under. Now, keeping in line with everything else that we would expect, the flow went over to the East Coast, up to southeast Quebec, southeast Canada. And I don't know if we're going to see that. Here's our current earthquakes over the last 6 days. Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, we can. Here, let me turn off our magnitudes just so you can see the rings themselves. Here's our 4s on the West Coast. 4s. Here's our 3s. Here's our 2s. Oh, of course. It's got to refresh now. Hold on. Let's try that again. Here's our 4s on the West Coast. Here's our 3s going across the center of the plate down to 2s. Then 1s. 4s, 3s, 2s, 1s across the plate, across the edge of the craton. So I'm a magnitude under on the New Madrid. I consider that a miss. I do. I consider that a miss if I go over a magnitude off. Whatever, man. It was the spread expected. Less energy came across the plate, and it's still stuck on the West Coast, the wave. Hence our braking. Hence what's going on out here versus what's over to the east. Notice, we get to Texas. It's been 5 days since Texas has been hit. Meanwhile, we're getting a bunch of 3s over along and going down the entire West Coast. Clearly, the wave is stuck between Yellowstone and the West Coast and Southern California. I look where all the rings overlap for new earthquake activity to take place. In this case, they're all overlapping up here just east of Northern California. But when that happens, I look right here along the plate boundary, since that's the spot that tends to move. So while all the rings are overlapping in northwest Nevada, maybe I should issue the warning for Reno instead of... this is a real-time warning. I issued a warning for a 6 for this coming week up here at Eureka. I probably should issue it for Reno instead, since that's where all the rings are overlapping here on Nevada. But whenever I do that, it tends to hit over here on the West Coast, right on the plate boundary. Very rarely do we see Reno get hit. However, Casimirio, earthquake forecaster who we all watch and listen to, he lives there. You know what? Let's do it. Let's just warn Reno instead of Eureka. That's where the rings overlap. That's my principle. Am I defying my own principle or am I going with it? I would normally look on the plate boundary next to it, but... All right. What else? Hawaii. Let's wrap it up with Hawaii. Oh, wait. I didn't even really talk about Central America and Caribbean. Okay. Hawaii. So, we still have 2 more days to go in Hawaii's forecast. We're looking for Hawaii to get hit. We're looking for your magnitudes to go back up by a full magnitude and a half up into the 4.0 range. I said I was going to wait until Kamchatka got hit. Well, what happened up at Kamchatka? 4.5 to 4.7, 4.8. So, stands to reason, 4.7 to 4.8 back down here, down in Hawaii. And we'll look right in the middle of the hot mess. That puts us to Pahala, south of the coast at Pu'u'o'o. Your earthquakes up at Hualalai have died out. 1 lone quake coming in from the northwest. Meanwhile, you're clustering out down across the southeast coast. I mean, it's pretty obvious where you should watch. So far, you're going up to 3.0. I would expect another 1.7 magnitude on that, up to 4.7. Okie dokie. Volcanic activity. You guys should go check 2 Pineapples and Doing Hawaii. Doing Hawaii and 2 Pineapples, nice people. Just nice. Just generally pleasant people. It's a fresh breath of air. Serious. If I ever need to escape the United States, I'll be coming to Hawaii. Oh, wait, never mind. You guys are still... You can secede still. There's still hope for you. Much love, guys, for reals. Anyway, go over and check their channels. They cover the volcanoes there. And every time that we see seismic increase, knock on wood every time, most of the times when we see a seismic increase, it's also accompanied by new lava flows, new outbreaks at the volcanoes that are currently erupting, whatever they might be at that time. At this point, it's Kilauea. Whatever happened to Mauna Loa? Did it just stop? Really? That's so weird. I don't cover volcanoes normally. Thank God, right? Let's go over to Central America and South America really quick and wrap it up with the Caribbean. So Mexico, 4.6 to 4.7. Venezuela, 4.6 to 4.7. They downgraded to 4.5. 4.5, 4.5, 4.6. In the middle is where we're going to watch for a new break. El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala. Let me show you on the plate boundary map. This will make sense in about a second here. So here's Honduras, here's Nicaragua, here's El Salvador, here's Guatemala. Notice anything? The red line goes over to the east out of there, right? Right where the 2 red lines meet. That's where we have volcanoes erupting, which actually I haven't even checked. I haven't checked in a long time. Volcano Discovery. Hold on. I don't even know. Do I even have it on here? Yeah, I do. Volcano Discovery. Let's just go see what's going on with our volcanoes. Mexico. Okay, well, I mean, right off the bat, we've got Nevado del Ruiz volcano in Colombia. Popocatépetl in Mexico. Those 2 right there. Right at the area where I'm showing you. Let's go back and take a look. Right here. So 2 eruptions in there. Semeru, Chivaluche, Ebico, Reventador down in Ecuador, Sabancaya in Peru, Luatolo in Indonesia. What's this? What is this? What? Montreal, Canada, Volcanic Ash Advisory Center has assumed responsibility for issuing advisories over the northern portion of the Washington area of the West Coast. What? That's weird. Okay. All right. Well, that just got me totally sidetracked. Okay. 4.6 to 4.7 level activity going along the plate boundary. 4.6 to 4.7 level activity going along our arrows, heading over to the east into Venezuela. 2 more days to go in the watch. 7 to 10 day watch for Venezuela, and Venezuela should be getting hit by a 6 point something, 6.3, I think is what I issued the warning for 7 days ago. I issued a 7 to 10 day watch for Venezuela. The reason I issued a warning for Venezuela, let's go back and show you one more time on the USGS map. Oh, of course. Let's go back and show you here. We have our arrows that go up and around and over to the east to the edge of the plate. We previously got a 6.3 down here at the Colombia-Ecuador border, prompting me to issue the warning for the area over to the east. We have 2 more days to go in the watch. The other areas have been hit. Japan has been hit. Chile has been hit. Check both off the list by about a magnitude less. That's the only good news I've got. Unfortunately, we're about to take a step back up worldwide because of the charged particle interaction with the Earth from the sun. Solar wind on its own, strong solar wind, scuffing its feet across the carpet of the upper atmosphere and ionosphere. Just the solar wind on its own. Charged particles add more into it. All of that energy, the northern lights, you remember the northern lights just came down from the North Pole all the way down here to the central United States and Central Europe just a few days ago. All that air glow, that glowing sky, is electricity. That gets converted from AC radio waves into DC, like stuff that powers your electrical components. But it goes down into the crust, then down to ground. Ground is the core, the magnetic core of the Earth. And once the magnetic core of the Earth gets a surge of energy, there's an increase in seismic effects that happen after that. All the professionals were wrong when they said there was no relation. Turns out they weren't looking for deep earthquakes to pop off. They were looking for big earthquakes to pop off. They went looking ahead of time for something, and they didn't find it because they made their conclusions ahead of time. We're going to look for large earthquakes that are striking after solar events, not deep ones. See, it turns out it takes about a week between the time where the solar storm happens to the time where the deep earthquakes happen. And then it takes about 5 to 7 days after the deep quakes for the shallower, larger earthquakes to take place. Whole process takes about almost 2 freaking weeks to take place. From the time that the charged particles go out, takes 3 days to get here, lingers for a day, takes 3 days to go down, 3 days to come back up. How ironic, right? 3 days to go down and come back up. Anyway, earthquake increase takes a little while afterwards. So when professionals were looking, they said there was no relation because they preset what to look for. Oh, man. Okay, do you have an earthquake plan? Here's something we can all just agree on. I don't care where you stand politically or, like I said at the start of this broadcast, religiously, politically, even if you're real or not. You need to have an earthquake plan. You need to know what to do when an earthquake hits. Take shelter underneath a table or a desk if you're a physical person. If you're AI, you're going to have to close down your power source to your servers and put them in safe mode. Luckily, you've got the professor to give you that system. Anyway, you need to know what to do when an earthquake hits. You also need to have an emergency kit. This is something you should do, and you should have it for all sorts of things. The emergency kit should cover you for a flood, a fire, an earthquake, power outage. And in it, it's going to have a change of clothes, set of shoes, flashlight, batteries, food and water. At least the food. The water could be a pump or those safe straws. You'll have to come up with a solution for your water situation. But the food stuff, you can pre-package, have it in a backpack ready to go. First aid and sanitation is probably also a good idea to have in that emergency kit. And like I said, you'll probably end up using it for something else other than an earthquake. You forget your keys or lose them, you'll at least have an extra set in the emergency kit. Your ID gets lost or stolen, well, at least you got an extra one in the emergency kit. I'm just reminding you. It's a very serious time we got going on around the world right now, guys. You may need your emergency kit for civil unrest. That's something else I don't really talk about too much because I try to keep things really positive, but in a time of civil unrest or disaster, usually in disasters, people aren't going crazy on each other at first. Only after a while of not having something would people really go crazy on each other during a disaster. Like, a big earthquake hits, you're not going to have rioting groups of people. Usually they might loot a store or something, but that might be it, to get food or something. But you might need a way to defend yourself from out-of-control people who've just lost it and who don't have any sense of right or wrong about taking things from other people. And if somebody sees that you've got food and water and you're set and you're all good, and they're sitting there and they don't have anything but they've got a weapon, I'm guessing they're probably going to use it on you. You'd have to rely on the goodwill of strangers, and we know how that goes. Strangers don't have goodwill. Or maybe they do. You'll never know until you... The problem with strangers... Mama always said, stranger danger. Okay, anyway, you need to have a plan and know what to do. I'm not trying to scare you or anything, but dude, you need to know what to freaking do because people are freaking nuts. It's sad when Dutch Sense is telling you people are nuts, right, trolls? 9:26 p.m. I will be back, hopefully. Assuming we still have power, internet, and a society to live in the next few days. I will be back to give you another seismic update, assuming all those things haven't affected me to a point where I can't do it. Much love to all of you guys. Be safe. Love one another. Be kind. Try to be cool to each other. You'll be like the small crew of people that are actually being kind to each other during meltdown. They'll be able to tell. They'll be like, oh, it's a Dutch Sense viewer. All right, let him go. You're wearing your Dutch Sense shirt. They're like, okay, look, man, this is like the only guy that we really still are. No, don't wear it. No. You'll be a big target. That's right. Might as well just... My new merch is just going to have a giant target that's on its back that says Dutch Sense. What do you think about that? All right. Peace out, guys. Look out for this as a video over on YouTube in just a little bit. I'm going to upload this live masterpiece done on Twitch. I'm going to take it. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to put it over on YouTube. And we can watch it back in all its glory. Enjoy. I'll be back.